Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the strange world of parapsychology, where the mind seems to reach beyond its conventional limits. This is the realm of psychic powers, unexplained visions, and strange stories that defy normal explanation. For more than a century, researchers, witnesses, skeptics, and believers have argued over the same difficult question. Can our minds do more than we originally thought? Some cases are probably just coincidences, but there are others that are much harder to dismiss. As you're about to discover, there is a wide space where mystery still remains. We'll wander through claims of hidden perception, strange timing, unusual memory, and the possibility that thoughts may not always stay locked inside the brain. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as your mind begins to gently unwind, join me as we explore these psychic mysteries together. Let's begin. Remote viewers once claimed they could describe hidden military targets. During the Cold War, psychic perception was not only a strange hobby on the edges of culture. It became interesting to people who thought every possible advantage might matter. Remote viewers were asked to describe places they could not physically see. Sometimes they received only coordinates or a sealed clue. Then they spoke about shapes, buildings, land, water, machinery, or human activity that seemed to appear in the mind. Many sessions were vague or wrong. Some were later described as close enough to raise eyebrows. That combination made the subject hard to dismiss cleanly. Supporters believed trained perception might slip past distance in a way no satellite could. Critics thought fear and secrecy had made officials chase unlikely possibilities. Yet the setting gives the claim a special charge. When intelligence agencies test something this strange, it tells us that even powerful institutions have wondered whether the human mind might travel farther than the body. Some tests suggest that minds can connect between sealed rooms. The setup sounds simple, but the implication is enormous. One person sits in a relaxed state with soft sensory input reduced as much as possible. Another person sits somewhere else and concentrates on an image that the receiver cannot see. Afterward, the receiver describes whatever impressions drifted through the mind. Many attempts are ordinary. A few seem strangely close to the target. That is where the mystery begins. Supporters argue that these experiments may show telepathy in its faint laboratory form. It is not a movie version of mind reading. It is more like a signal trying to pass through fog. Skeptics point to judging methods, chance, and the way vague impressions can be matched too generously. Still, the idea remains powerful because the results sometimes appear just strong enough to keep the door open. If the mind can reach another mind at all, even weakly, then human connection may be far stranger than daily life suggests. The Stargate program brought psychic spying into official government files. What makes this project so fascinating is not simply that people claimed unusual abilities. It is that those claims were studied inside a real government framework, with reports, targets, tasking, and evaluation. Viewers tried to gather information about distant sites, missing objects, foreign facilities, and hidden activity. The results did not produce a clean victory for believers. There were failed sessions, unclear descriptions, and arguments over usefulness. Yet there were also moments that supporters considered unusually suggestive. The mystery is why the work continued for years, if nothing at all seemed worth studying. Some people believe rare hits kept the program alive. Others think officials worried that rival nations might be exploring the same territory. The released records leave a strange impression. They show bureaucracy standing beside the impossible, taking notes while people tried to look beyond normal perception. That alone makes the story feel like a doorway into a secret history of consciousness. Near-death visions often include details people could not easily know. These accounts become most puzzling when the person later reports information that seems to come from outside the body. They may describe something said in a room, a detail from a medical setting, or an event that happened while they appeared deeply unconscious. Not every story holds up under scrutiny. Some may come from memory fragments, later conversations, or the brain under stress. Yet a few cases are difficult because the details feel unusually specific. That is why near-death research sits in such a charged place between medicine and mystery. The experience often includes clarity, calmness, and a sense of separation from ordinary life. For believers, this suggests awareness can continue when the body is in extreme danger. For skeptics, it shows the brain producing powerful experiences under pressure. Either way, the question is astonishing. At the edge of life, does consciousness fade inward, or does it briefly open outward? Children have reported past lives with names and places remembered. The strongest stories often begin before a child is old enough to understand how strange the statements sound. A young boy or girl may speak about another family, another home, or a death that seems to belong to someone else. Sometimes names, locations, habits, or personal details are later checked against real people who lived and died before the child was born. Skeptics look for ordinary explanations first. A child might overhear information, absorb family stories, or create memories from imagination. That caution is important. Yet some cases remain difficult because the information appears specific, early, and emotionally intense. The child may also show strong reactions to places or people they have supposedly never encountered. For those drawn to reincarnation, these reports feel like clues left behind by consciousness moving from one life to another. For everyone else, they still challenge the ordinary idea that memory belongs only to one brain and one lifetime. Poltergeist cases sometimes seem centered around one troubled person. Many poltergeist reports do not behave like classic ghost stories. Instead of a presence tied only to a building, the disturbances seem to gather around a particular person. Often that person is young, emotionally strained, or living through pressure they cannot easily express. Objects may fall, knocks may sound, and small items may move in ways witnesses find alarming. This pattern led some investigators to wonder whether the activity could be linked to hidden human energy rather than an outside spirit. The idea is controversial but fascinating. It suggests the mind might produce physical effects during moments of stress without the person consciously choosing them. Skeptics usually suspect pranks, suggestion, confusion, or exaggerated family stories. Those explanations fit many cases. Yet the most puzzling reports leave behind a stranger possibility. Maybe some disturbances are not visitors from beyond. Maybe they are emotional storms made visible in the room. Premonition dreams have warned people before major disasters occurred. Stories of warning dreams become especially haunting when they appear before a public tragedy. A person dreams of an accident, a collapse, a sinking, or a sudden danger. Then, later, the news seems to match the dream with disturbing closeness. Many claims are remembered only after the event, which makes them difficult to judge. Memory can sharpen some details and forget others. Still, recorded warnings and repeated patterns have kept the subject alive. The appeal is easy to understand. because dreams already feel like a place where normal time loosens. They gather fear, intuition, memory, and emotion into scenes that can feel more meaningful than ordinary thought. Skeptics see coincidence and the huge number of dreams people have every night. Believers see flashes of future knowledge breaking through sleep. The possibility is gripping. If even one true warning dream exists, then the future may not be completely silent before it arrives. Mediums have delivered private details that families struggled to explain. A vague message can comfort people, but it does not create a lasting mystery. The powerful cases involve information that feels personal and difficult to guess. A medium may mention a forgotten nickname, an unusual object, a private habit, or a memory that only a few people would recognize. Families sometimes react strongly because the detail does not feel general. It feels aimed directly at them. Skeptics warn that cold reading, research, body language, and emotional need can create impressive moments. Those explanations matter, and many readings fall apart when examined carefully. Yet some accounts are harder to explain, especially when controls limit what the medium could know. One possibility is spirit communication. Another is telepathy from the living people in the room. Both ideas are extraordinary. The mystery is not only whether the message is accurate, it is where the information might be coming from when ordinary routes seem closed. Laboratory dice experiments hinted that intention might affect chance. At first glance, rolling dice seems too ordinary to belong in a mystery documentary. Yet that is exactly what makes these experiments so provocative. Researchers asked whether focused intention could make certain outcomes appear slightly more often than chance. The participant might try to mentally encourage a particular face to land upward over many rolls. No one expected thunder, floating objects, or dramatic magic. The possible effect was tiny, hidden inside statistics. Supporters argued that repeated small shifts could reveal mind-influencing matter at the edge of detection. Skeptics pointed to recording problems, uncontrolled conditions, and the danger of seeing meaning in random streaks. The debate is fascinating because the test reduces the paranormal to something almost humble. A person concentrates. A cube tumbles. Numbers are counted. If intention can tilt even this simple process, then reality may be less fixed than it looks. Chance itself would become a meeting place between mind and matter. Electronic voice phenomena made some researchers wonder who was speaking. The method is unsettling because it asks very little from the world. A recorder is switched on in a quiet room near radio noise or during a question session. Later, someone listens closely and hears what seems to be a voice. Sometimes it is only a syllable. Sometimes it sounds like a name or a short reply. Skeptics explain many examples as stray broadcasts, equipment artifacts, or the brain finding speech in random sound. That explanation is often convincing. Yet certain recordings have left listeners uneasy because the timing or content appears meaningful. The mystery becomes stronger when a voice seems to answer a question or say something unknown to the people present. For believers, these fragments suggest communication through technology. For critics, they reveal how eager the mind is to create language from noise. Either way, the phenomenon turns a simple machine into a possible doorway. The silence after a question suddenly feels less empty. Rhine's card tests turned psychic research into a university subject. J.B. Rhine helped change the public image of psychic investigation by bringing it into a formal academic setting. Instead of relying on dramatic seances or personal testimony, he used special cards marked with simple symbols. A participant tried to identify a hidden card without seeing it. The experiment could be repeated, counted, and compared against chance. That was the point. Ryan wanted extraordinary claims tested through ordinary procedure. The results became famous because they suggested that some people scored above expectation under certain conditions. Critics challenged the methods, the statistics, and the possibility of hidden cues. Supporters saw a serious attempt to measure extrasensory perception rather than merely argue about it. The image is strangely compelling. Someone sits at a table and names a symbol they cannot see. Behind that small act is a huge question. Can information reach the mind without sight, sound, touch, taste, or smell? The Society for Psychical Research investigated hauntings with unusual seriousness. When this organization formed in Britain, it gave strange experiences a level of attention they rarely received. Its members did not simply trade ghost stories for entertainment. They collected testimony, compared reports, interviewed witnesses, and tried to separate deception from genuine puzzle. That mattered because many educated people of the time were caught between old spiritual beliefs and a growing confidence in science. The society stood in that uneasy middle ground. It studied apparitions, telepathy, mediumship, and experiences around death with a seriousness that still feels unusual today. Not every member believed the same thing. Some hoped the evidence would prove survival after death. Others mainly wanted better methods. The enduring fascination comes from the attitude itself. Instead of laughing at extraordinary claims or accepting them too quickly, these investigators asked whether human experience might contain neglected facts. They treated the impossible as something that deserved careful listening before judgment. Telepathy studies often produced their strongest results between emotional pairs. The idea that connection matters has appeared again and again in psychic research. Experiments and personal reports often suggest that telepathic impressions, if they happen at all, may be strongest between people who share trust, affection, or deep familiarity. This fits many everyday stories. A person suddenly thinks of someone close just before a message arrives. A parent senses distress before any call comes. A partner feels something is wrong without knowing why. Skeptics say these examples are shaped by selective memory because people forget the countless times no match occurs. That is a fair warning. Yet emotional pairing remains an intriguing pattern because the mind may respond differently when another person truly matters. Some people think affection creates a kind of hidden channel. Others believe close relationships simply train people to read subtle patterns extremely well. The mystery sits between those views. Perhaps love is not proof of telepathy, but it may be where telepathy would first appear. Some twins describe shared sensations that arrive without normal contact. Twin accounts have fascinated parapsychology because they suggest that two people may remain linked in unusual ways. A twin may suddenly feel pain, fear, or unease at the same time the other twin is experiencing trouble far away. Other stories involve matching dreams, mirrored choices, or the sense that one twin knows when the other is about to call. Ordinary explanations are important. Twins often share genes, upbringing, habits, memories, and emotional rhythms. They may notice matches and forget mismatches. Even with that caution, some reports feel difficult because the timing is sharp and the sensation is physical. The strongest stories are not about vague similarity. They are about one person reacting before any ordinary news could arrive. Some people imagine a bond formed before birth that never fully breaks. Others see twins as an extreme example of human empathy. Either way, they make separateness feel less complete than we usually believe. Crisis apparitions are said to appear near the moment someone dies. These reports often begin in an ordinary setting. A person is reading, walking, working, or resting when they suddenly see someone they know. The figure may appear clear for a moment, then vanish. Later, the witness learns that the person died at roughly the same time, often far away. The timing is what gives the account its emotional power. Skeptics point to coincidence, mistaken memory, and the way shocking news can reshape earlier impressions. Those explanations must be considered. Yet some older cases were recorded before the death was confirmed, which makes them harder to dismiss casually. Believers interpret them as final visits from the departing person. Others wonder whether the living witness receives a sudden mental signal during a crisis. These stories remain deeply human because they combine mystery with farewell. They suggest that at life's last edge, connection may briefly become visible. The Philip experiment tried creating a ghost through group belief. A Canadian group in the early 1970s attempted something bold. Instead of contacting a historical spirit, they invented one. They created a fictional man with a name, personality, and tragic backstory. Then they gathered as though he were real and tried to communicate with him. Reports from the sessions included knocks, table movements, and apparent responses that seemed to develop through group focus. The central puzzle is startling. If the character never existed, what was answering? Skeptics would point to unconscious movement, suggestion, and the powerful expectations created inside a group. Some paranormal thinkers see a more radical possibility. Maybe concentrated belief can form a temporary presence that behaves as if it has a mind. That idea changes the ghost story completely. It suggests people might sometimes help create what they later experience as outside themselves. The experiment remains famous because it places imagination, belief, and physical effects in one strange room together. Some seance rooms produced objects that witnesses insisted appeared from nowhere. These alleged objects were often called apports, and they made physical mediumship feel far more dramatic than spoken messages. Witnesses claimed that flowers, stones, small gifts, or unusual items appeared during sessions without any visible source. The claim is difficult because it moves beyond impressions and into matter. If a solid object truly appears where it was not before, then the mystery is no longer only psychological. Investigators knew the danger of trickery. Hidden pockets, darkness, distraction, and stage magic could explain many cases. For that reason, some sittings involved searches, restraints, marked rooms, or close observation. Even then, a few witnesses remained convinced they had seen something impossible. The fascination comes from the clash between the simplicity of the object and the enormity of the implication. A small flower on a table could be fraud. It could be misdirection. Or, in the most astonishing interpretation, it could be evidence that reality has hidden doors. Victorian investigators tested famous mediums with hidden controls and traps. The Victorian seance world was full of wonder, grief, performance, and suspicion. Famous mediums could draw rooms of people hoping for proof that the dead still spoke. At the same time, investigators knew that fraud was common. So they developed tests designed to catch deception. They checked cabinets, marked objects, watched hands, controlled lighting, and sometimes used methods borrowed from magicians. Many mediums were exposed through simple tricks. Others continued to puzzle observers even after stricter controls were introduced. That tension made the period so compelling. It was not only believers facing skeptics. It was a contest between hope and method, with the grieving public watching closely. Some investigators wanted to prove survival after death. Others wanted to protect people from being fooled. The most intriguing cases stood in between. They raised the uncomfortable possibility that a medium might cheat sometimes, yet still produce moments that witnesses could not explain. Eusapia Palladino baffled supporters and skeptics with physical seance phenomena. This Italian medium became famous because her sessions seemed to produce effects that could be seen, felt, and sometimes tested. Witnesses reported rising tables, moving curtains, strange touches, and objects shifting under conditions meant to prevent easy fraud. Respected investigators disagreed sharply about her. Some believed they had observed genuine forces. Others caught her using tricks and considered that enough to reject her entirely. That contradiction is what makes her case so enduring. She was not a clean example for either side. She could deceive, and yet some careful observers insisted that not everything was deception. This creates a difficult question that paranormal history rarely handles well. If a person is caught cheating once, should every strange event around them be dismissed forever? Or might flawed people still become the center of real anomalies? Her story feels like a warning and an invitation. It shows how messy the search for the paranormal can become when evidence and human weakness sit at the same table. The Enfield case mixed family testimony with fierce public disagreement. In late 1970s London, a family home became the center of one of the most debated poltergeist cases in modern history. Reports included knocks, moving furniture, odd voices, and disturbances focused around children in the house. Investigators visited repeatedly, recordings were made, and the story quickly attracted press attention. That public pressure shaped the case from the beginning. Supporters believed the family had been pulled into something genuinely abnormal. Skeptics argued that the children exaggerated or staged parts of the activity. The difficult thing is that both sides found material to support their view. Some moments looked suspicious. Others seemed harder to explain, especially to those who were present. The case remains famous because it does not settle neatly. It contains fear, family stress, possible trickery, witness conviction, and unexplained details. That messy mixture is exactly why people still return to it. Enfield feels less like a solved case than a living argument. Some haunted houses seem to replay events like emotional recordings. In certain hauntings, the strange activity does not seem aware of the living people nearby. A figure walks the same path, a sound returns from the same room, or footsteps cross an empty floor with no response to questions. This has led many people to wonder whether some hauntings are not visitors at all. They may be recordings left inside a place. The idea is fascinating because it turns a building into something almost alive with memory. A house could hold the pressure of a powerful event and release it again under certain conditions. Skeptics argue that old structures naturally produce noises, shadows, and patterns that human imagination completes. That may explain many reports. Yet repeated sightings in the same spot keep the idea alive. The mystery is not only whether ghosts exist, it is whether places themselves can remember what human beings forget. Stone tape theory suggests places may somehow store human experience. This theory gives one of the most intriguing explanations for hauntings that seem repetitive rather than intelligent. It imagines that certain materials may absorb intense moments from the past, especially during fear, grief, or emotional strain. Later, those impressions might play back the sensitive people or under unusual environmental conditions. The concept is not accepted as proven science, but it remains powerful because it gives ghost stories a mechanism. A witness might not be seeing a spirit. They might be encountering a trace embedded in the surroundings. Old stone, brick, and wood become more than building materials in this view. They become silent keepers of human drama. Skeptics see a poetic explanation layered over ordinary misperception. Believers see a clue that memory may not belong only to the brain. The idea changes how we think about old places. Every corridor could be empty, yet not completely blank. Apparitions have sometimes been reported by several witnesses at once. a single sighting can always be questioned as a private mistake. Shared sightings are harder to explain because more than one person claims to notice the same impossible thing at the same time. In some accounts, witnesses later describe similar clothing, movement, direction, or location before they have a chance to shape each other's memory. That does not prove a ghost was present, but it raises the level of mystery. A group can misunderstand the same shadow or sound. People can influence one another without realizing it. Yet certain stories feel unusually stubborn because the reports seem clear and consistent. The most compelling cases do not depend on fear alone. They happen during ordinary moments, which makes them feel less like panic and more like observation. These accounts ask an unsettling question. If several minds encounter the same apparition together, is it a shared illusion or something standing outside them all? Shared death experiences blur the line between grief and mystery. These reports do not belong to the person who is dying. They belong to someone beside them, often a relative, nurse, or close companion. At the moment of death, the witness may describe a sudden change in awareness, a feeling of presence, or an impression that the dying person is being met by something beyond the room. The experience can be deeply peaceful, which makes it very different from ordinary shock. Skeptics may explain it as stress, expectation, or the mind creating comfort during an emotional moment. That is possible. Yet many witnesses insist the experience felt more real than imagination. What makes this subject so fascinating is the shared threshold. Death is usually thought of as a private passage. These stories suggest that, on rare occasions, someone nearby may briefly glimpse part of it. Whether spiritual or psychological, the moment seems to open a question that ordinary language struggles to hold. Some hospice workers describe peaceful visitors seen before dying patients pass. Caregivers who spend long hours near the end of life often hear patients speak about people no one else can see. The patient may look toward a corner, smile with recognition, or say that a loved one has arrived. These reports are striking because they are often calm and orderly rather than confused. The person may seem reassured, as though the visitor has come with a purpose. Medical explanations include medication, fever, oxygen changes, and the brain's natural response to decline. Those explanations deserve respect. Still, many hospice workers describe a difference between distressing hallucination and these quiet final visions. The patient is often less afraid afterward. Families may also feel comforted by the timing and tone of the experience. The mystery is gentle but profound. Are these visitors' memories rising at the end, symbols created by the mind, or evidence that someone comes close when life is almost ready to release? Animals are often reported reacting before unseen presences are noticed. Pets appear in paranormal stories because they sometimes behave as though they sense something before humans do. A dog may stare at an empty corner. A cat may arch its back toward a silent hallway. A horse may refuse a path that later becomes associated with a strange report. These reactions feel important because animals are not supposed to understand the legend of a place. They cannot be impressed by a ghost story in the same way people can. Skeptics point out that animals hear, smell, and feel things humans miss. Pipes, insects, distant footsteps, and small vibrations could easily explain many reactions. Yet the timing can be unnerving. The animal reacts first, and then the human notices a cold feeling, a sound, or a movement. For believers, animals may be closer to subtle layers of reality. For everyone else, they remind us how limited human senses really are. Dogs have been said to find their owners over impossible distances. Stories of dogs returning across great distances have been told for generations, and some are difficult to hear without feeling a little awe. A pet is separated from its owner, placed far from familiar ground, or lost during travel. Then, against expectation, it finds its way back. Ordinary abilities explain part of the mystery. Dogs have powerful smell, strong memory, and a remarkable sense of direction. They may follow landscapes and traces that humans never notice. Yet some cases seem to involve unfamiliar routes or distances that make normal explanation feel stretched. That is why these stories entered the outer edges of parapsychology. Some people wonder whether attachment itself acts like a signal. Others suggest animals may use magnetic fields or hidden environmental cues. The most moving possibility is also the strangest. Perhaps love is not only a feeling inside the body. Perhaps for some animals, it is a direction. Rupert Sheldrake studied pets that seemed to know owners were returning. The famous idea here is wonderfully simple. A dog or cat moves to a door, window, or gate before the owner arrives, even when the return time is unusual. Rupert Sheldrake gathered reports and explored whether pets might anticipate arrivals through a bond that was not based on ordinary cues. The claim became widely debated because it matches something many owners feel they have witnessed. The household is calm. Suddenly, the animal becomes alert. Minutes later, the person comes home. Skeptics argue that routines, engine sounds, neighbor reactions, and selective memory can create the effect. They also note that people remember the hits more than the misses. Still, the pattern has a powerful emotional pull. It suggests that close connection may create a form of awareness that is not quite smell, hearing, or habit. Whether psychic or not, these stories make the relationship between humans and animals feel larger than training alone. Some people feel watched seconds before turning towards someone's eyes. Almost everyone knows the sensation. You are sitting quietly, walking through a public place, or standing in a room when a sudden feeling tells you that someone is looking. You turn, and there they are. The experience feels immediate, as though attention itself has touched you. Normal explanations are strong. Peripheral vision may catch a tiny movement. The ears may detect a shift. The brain may process subtle signs before conscious awareness catches up. Yet the feeling often seems to arrive before any obvious clue. That has made it one of the most familiar claims in everyday parapsychology. Experiments have tried to test whether people can detect unseen staring, with results that remain disputed. The mystery is powerful because it is not rare or dramatic. It appears in ordinary life. It asks whether human attention has a presence of its own, or whether the brain is simply better at hidden detection than we realize. The staring effect remains one of everyday parapsychology's strangest claims. This claim asks whether being looked at can be sensed without seeing the watcher. It sounds strange, yet it has been tested because the experience is so widely reported. In some experiments, one person stares at another during randomly chosen periods, while the subject guesses when it is happening. Other versions use cameras or separate rooms to reduce normal clues. Results have been mixed, and the debate is intense. Skeptics argue that tiny methodological problems can create false effects. Supporters say the phenomenon may be fragile, subtle, and easily disturbed by artificial testing. What makes this subject so interesting is its simplicity. There is no haunted house, no seance, and no dramatic vision. There is only attention moving from one person to another. If the effect is real, then looking at someone may not be passive. It may be a small act of contact that the body sometimes notices before the mind understands. Precognition experiments suggest the body may react before images appear. Some experiments have tried to detect future knowledge without asking people to make predictions. A participant sits in front of a screen while sensors measure small changes in the body. The computer later shows an image that may be calm or emotionally intense. The controversial claim is that the body sometimes responds before the image appears, especially when the upcoming picture carries a stronger emotional charge. This is fascinating because the person may not consciously know anything is about to happen. The reaction is hidden in skin response, heart rhythm, or other tiny measurements. Critics argue that data analysis can create patterns where none exist. Supporters believe the body may be picking up information from the near future in a form too faint for thought. The idea feels almost impossible, yet strangely intimate. It suggests that the body might be listening ahead, while the conscious mind remains firmly in the present. Presentiment studies measured tiny changes before emotional pictures were shown. Presentiment research looks for a feeling before feeling, but in a measured form. The participant does not need to announce a vision or name the future. Instead, instruments watch the body for minute shifts before a randomly selected image appears. The claim is that an emotional picture may produce a slight bodily preparation before the computer actually displays it. That possibility challenges the usual direction of cause and effect. It does not say people can clearly predict tomorrow. It suggests that the nervous system might lean toward an event a few seconds before it happens. Skeptics remain cautious because small effects can be shaped by methods, statistics, or unconscious choices in analysis. Yet the idea is irresistible because it makes precognition physical. The future does not arrive as a voice. It arrives as a barely visible tremor in the body. If real, that would make instinct far deeper than ordinary caution. Random number machines have behaved strangely during world-shaking events. Random number generators are supposed to be indifferent. They do not care about celebrations, disasters, or the emotions of millions of people. That is why reports of unusual patterns during major events became so provocative. The claim is not that a machine suddenly becomes intelligent. It is that random systems may drift slightly when human attention becomes unusually focused. Skeptics argue that randomness naturally produces streaks and clusters that can look meaningful after the fact. They also warn that choosing dramatic events later can make patterns seem more impressive than they are. Even so, the idea has a strange power. Imagine a silent device producing numbers while the world reacts together. A public shock occurs, or a historic moment unfolds, and the data appears to shift. If there is anything to it, then collective human emotion may not be sealed inside separate bodies. It may leave a faint mark on the machinery around us. The Global Consciousness Project looked for patterns during collective emotion. This project placed random number generators in different locations and watched the data during moments of worldwide attention. The idea was bold but clear. If millions of minds were focused on the same event, perhaps the combined emotional state would correlate with tiny changes in random systems. Supporters saw it as a way to test whether consciousness has a field-like quality. Critics questioned the statistics, the choice of events, and the meaning of the results. The debate has never been simple because the claimed effect is small and the implications are enormous. What makes the project fascinating is the scale of the question. We often feel that certain events are shared by everyone at once. A major crisis or global ceremony can make humanity feel briefly linked. This experiment asked whether that feeling is only social or whether it can appear as a measurable disturbance in the physical world. Some researchers believe mass attention may subtly disturb electronic randomness. The idea begins with a daring suggestion. Human focus might not remain trapped inside individual skulls. When many people concentrate on the same event, that shared attention may create a slight effect on random electronic systems. The claim is usually modest, which makes it more intriguing. No one is imagining crowds controlling machines like stage magicians. The proposal is that massive collective attention might tilt probability by a tiny amount. Skeptics say random data is easy to misunderstand. They argue that patterns will always appear if enough numbers are searched. Yet the possibility still captures the imagination because it suggests consciousness may combine. A crowd at a memorial, a nation watching breaking news, or a world following one historic moment might become more than a collection of separate observers. In this view, shared attention becomes almost like pressure. The event is not only watched by people, it may be answered faintly by the world. Dream telepathy experiments tested whether sleepers could receive hidden images. Dreams are strange enough on their own, but these experiments added an even more provocative question. Could a sleeping person receive an image being mentally sent by someone elsewhere? The sleeper would rest in a laboratory while another person focused on a target picture. When the sleeper woke, they described the dream. Judges later compared the dream material with possible targets. Supporters found some matches intriguing because dreams often translate ideas through symbols rather than copying them directly. A picture of fire might appear as heat, danger, or red light. That makes the research difficult because interpretation can become too flexible. Skeptics argue that dream reports can be matched to many images if judges are generous. Still, the concept remains fascinating. Sleep lowers ordinary defenses. The mind becomes visual, emotional, and associative. If telepathy exists, dreams may be one of the places where the signal finds a language. The Maimonides dream studies became legends of psychic sleep research. At a medical center in New York, researchers tried to bring dream telepathy into a monitored setting. A sleeping participant was observed through the night. During dreaming periods, another person focused on a target image in a separate room. The dreamer was awakened and asked to report what had appeared in the dream. Later, those reports were compared with the target materials. Some results became famous because the matches seemed unusually suggestive to supporters. Skeptics questioned whether the judging and methods were strong enough to support such a bold conclusion. Even with the controversy, the studies became legendary because they placed a mystical idea inside a serious sleep laboratory. That contrast is what gives them their charge. Electrodes and dream reports sat beside the possibility that one mind could influence another from a distance. The sleeping brain became a receiver in one of parapsychology's most memorable experiments. Lucid dreaming opened new questions about consciousness leaving the body. In a lucid dream, the dreamer realizes the experience is a dream while it is still unfolding. That moment of awareness can feel astonishing. The person may choose where to go, speak to dream figures, or test the limits of the dream environment. For parapsychology, lucid dreaming became especially interesting because it overlaps with reports of leaving the body. Some lucid dreamers describe floating above themselves or visiting locations that seem separate from imagination. Skeptics see these as vivid inner experiences created by the sleeping brain. That explanation may be enough for many cases. Yet the experience still raises a deeper mystery. Why can consciousness create a convincing world and then become aware inside it? Some people wonder whether lucid dreaming is a practice ground for a more unusual kind of perception. Others see it as proof that the mind has hidden rooms of its own. Either way, it makes sleep feel far less passive. Out-of-body reports often include viewpoints above the room. One of the most striking features in out-of-body accounts is the elevated perspective. A person says they seem to rise above the body and look down on the room. They may describe people moving, medical staff working, or objects seen from an angle they could not physically occupy. In many cases, the experience happens during sleep illness, meditation, or extreme stress. Skeptics explain it through brain processes that build a model of the body and space. When that model is disrupted, the mind may create the sensation of floating outside itself. Yet some reports include details that witnesses believe were later confirmed. Those are the cases that keep the mystery alive. The appeal is immediate. We assume awareness is located behind the eyes. These stories ask whether that location is fixed, or whether consciousness can sometimes loosen from the body and look back at it. Some hospital studies placed hidden targets where only floating awareness could see. Researchers have tried to test out-of-body claims in a practical way. If someone truly rises above the body during a medical crisis, perhaps they could see a hidden target placed high in the room. The target might be on a shelf or facing upward where ordinary sight would not reach from the bed. The idea is elegant because it turns a profound claim into a simple test. Could the person later identify what was hidden? Results have not delivered easy proof, and many patients who report near-death experiences do not notice such targets. Skeptics see that as a sign that the claim fails under testing. Supporters argue that a person in crisis is not calmly searching for experimental images. The mystery remains compelling because the test points directly at the central question. If awareness leaves the body, can it bring back information that no normal observer could have gathered? Veridical perception cases remain among near-death research's hardest puzzles. The phrase refers to reports where someone claims to perceive accurate details during a period when ordinary perception should have been limited or impossible. These cases are important because they move beyond feelings of peace or symbolic visions. They involve specific information. A patient may later describe an action, a conversation, or a detail from the surrounding environment. The strength of each case depends on timing, documentation, and whether the information could have been learned normally. Many accounts are weaker than they first appear. Yet a few continue to be discussed because they are not easy to fold into simple explanations. The skeptics, memory and reconstruction, remain major concerns. For believers, these cases are some of the strongest hints that awareness can operate beyond the brain's usual limits. The fascination lies in the word accurate. A beautiful vision can be explained as inner experience. The correct observation from impossible conditions is much harder to ignore. The Pam Reynolds case became famous for memories during deep medical crisis. This case is often discussed because the medical circumstances were unusually dramatic. During a complex operation, Pam Reynolds later reported experiences that seemed to include awareness of events around her body, while normal sensory access appeared severely limited. Supporters have pointed to details she described as evidence that consciousness may have functioned apart from the body. Skeptics have offered alternative explanations, including information heard before full unconsciousness, later reconstruction, and misunderstanding of the medical timing. The case remains controversial because it sits at the intersection of personal testimony, technical medicine, and the deepest question in parapsychology. What happens to awareness when the brain is placed under extreme conditions? The story became famous not because it settled the matter, but because it gave both sides something serious to examine. For believers, it is a landmark. For critics, it is a cautionary tale. For listeners, it is unforgettable because the central question is so direct. Some blind people report visual scenes during near-death experiences. These accounts are especially intriguing because they challenge simple assumptions about vision. People who are blind, including some who have been blind from birth, have reported scenes during near-death experiences that they describe in visual terms. They may speak of shapes, light, space, or seeing their own surroundings from a different perspective. Skeptics argue that language about seeing can be metaphorical, or that the brain may build spatial impressions from non-visual information. That may explain some reports. Yet the strongest cases raise a difficult question. What does it mean for someone without ordinary sight to describe an apparently visual experience? Supporters believe these accounts suggest consciousness can perceive in a way that does not depend on the eyes. Others think they reveal how flexible the brain's inner modeling can be. Either way, the stories are fascinating because they ask whether seeing is truly an act of the body, or something deeper wearing a bodily form. Life reviews appear across cultures with striking emotional similarity. Many near-death accounts include a rapid review of the person's life. The experience is often described as intensely personal, yet strangely ordered. People report seeing their actions from a wider perspective, and sometimes feeling how those actions affected others. The details vary across cultures, but the emotional pattern appears in many places. That consistency has made the life review one of the most discussed features of near-death research. Skeptics may see it as the brain organizing memory during crisis. Believers may see it as a moral encounter built into consciousness itself. The idea is powerful because it suggests that nothing is truly lost. A small kindness, a careless word, or a private choice may be remembered in a way ordinary life does not allow. This is not frightening when told calmly. It is profoundly curious. It asks whether memory is only stored in the brain, or whether every life leaves a complete record somewhere. Tunnel experiences may be biology or something stranger, or both. The tunnel is one of the most familiar features in near-death accounts. People describe moving through darkness toward light, often with a feeling of speed, calm, or destination. Medical explanations suggest the tunnel may arise from changes in the brain and vision during extreme stress. Reduced oxygen, altered blood flow, or neural activity could create the sensation. That explanation is plausible and may account for many cases. Yet the image remains powerful because it appears in so many stories and often carries deep emotional meaning. Some people see it as a passage between states of existence. Others wonder whether the brain creates a final symbolic map for an experience that is larger than biology alone. The most interesting view may not force a single answer. Perhaps the body provides the language, while consciousness moves through something real. The tunnel may be a neurological event, a spiritual doorway, or a strange meeting of both. Reincarnation researchers documented children who named unfamiliar former families. Some reincarnation cases become difficult because the child does not merely speak vaguely about another life. They give names, relationships, occupations, or locations that the present family does not recognize. When adults investigate, they sometimes find a deceased person whose life appears to match the child's statements. Skeptics look for normal routes of information. A child may hear conversations, absorb media, or be guided by adult questions. Those possibilities must be considered carefully. Yet some reports remain striking because the statements emerge early, before the child seems old enough to construct a convincing story. The emotional force can be strong as well. The child may long for a former family or show fear connected to remembered events. For believers, these cases suggest identity can return with fragments intact. For skeptics, they are extraordinary puzzles of memory and culture. Either way, they turn childhood speech into one of the strangest archives imaginable. Ian Stevenson collected thousands of cases involving past life memories. Ian Stevenson became one of the most important figures in reincarnation research because he treated children's claims with unusual patience and detail. He traveled widely, interviewed families, compared statements, and looked for cases where memories could be checked against the life of a deceased person. His work did not convince everyone, but it created a large body of material that is difficult to ignore casually. What makes the research fascinating is the repeated pattern. Young children speak with emotion about another life, provide details, and then gradually lose the memories as they grow older. Skeptics argue that cultural belief, family influence, and chance matching can shape many cases. Supporters see a pattern too strong to dismiss. Stevenson's files became a meeting place between careful documentation and a deeply radical idea. If even a small number of these cases point beyond ordinary memory, then personal identity may be more mysterious than any single lifetime can explain. Birthmarks have sometimes been linked to remembered wounds from previous lives. Some reincarnation reports include an unusual physical detail. A child claims to remember a previous life, and the body carries a birthmark or birth defect that appears to correspond with an injury from that remembered life. The claim is extraordinary because it suggests memory might not only survive, but somehow leave a mark on a new body. Researchers have examined cases where family testimony, medical records, or death reports seem to align with the child's statements. Skeptics warn that matching marks to past injuries can be subjective, especially when stories are shaped after the fact. They also point out that birthmarks are common. Still, certain cases feel deeply strange because the memory and the physical sign appear together. For believers, this is one of the strongest hints that trauma may cross from one incarnation to another. For others, it remains a troubling coincidence. Either way, the body itself becomes part of the mystery. Some children speak forgotten languages they were never taught. Xenoglossy is one of the rarest and most startling claims in parapsychology. It involves a person speaking or understanding a language they supposedly never learned. The most dramatic stories often involve children who begin using words from a language unknown in their household. Sometimes the claim appears in connection with past life memories. Other times it emerges during trance or unusual states of consciousness. Skeptics first look for hidden exposure because people can absorb more language than they realize. A song, a visitor, a recording, or a family contact may leave traces. Many cases weaken under careful examination. Yet the strongest claims remain fascinating because language is complex. It is not just an image or a feeling. It carries grammar, sound, and meaning. If someone truly speaks a language without learning it, then something profound must be happening. It could be buried memory. It could be extraordinary imitation. Or it could be a hint that the mind has access to information far beyond its own life. Xenoglossy cases raise strange questions about memory beyond one lifetime. The claim is simple to state and very difficult to explain. A person begins speaking, writing, or understanding a language they supposedly never learned. In reincarnation research, these cases become especially intriguing when the language appears connected to a claimed previous identity. The person may use phrases, accents, or responses that seem beyond casual exposure. Skeptics look first for hidden learning, because people can absorb language in surprising ways from family, media, travel, or forgotten childhood contact. Many claims weaken when examined closely. Yet the strongest stories remain fascinating because language is not just memory of a picture or place. It requires structure, sound, and meaning working together. Some people believe xenoglossy points toward past life, recall breaking through the surface. Others think it reveals hidden abilities of the subconscious mind. Either way, the phenomenon asks a thrilling question. Can memory reach beyond the life we remember, or are there forgotten rooms inside the mind itself? Déjà vu sometimes feels like a memory arriving from elsewhere. Most people know the sensation, and that familiarity makes it even stranger. You enter a room, hear a sentence, or pass through an ordinary moment, and suddenly it feels already lived. Science often explains this as a small timing error in memory, where the brain labels a new experience as familiar by mistake. That may be true in many cases. Yet some episodes feel far more intense than a simple glitch. People describe knowing what will happen next for a few seconds, or feeling that the moment belongs to a life they cannot place. Some connect it with dreams. Others wonder whether it hints at time loops, parallel lives, or memories bleeding through from another version of the self. The fascination is that déjà vu happens inside normal life without warning. It turns an ordinary second into a crack in certainty, as if the present has briefly remembered itself before you arrived. Time slip stories describe people briefly stepping into another era. These accounts are not usually about machines or dramatic portals. They often begin with someone walking through a familiar place, then noticing that something feels wrong. The street appears older. Clothing styles seem outdated. Buildings look different, or the atmosphere feels strangely removed from the present. Then, just as suddenly, the normal world returns. Skeptics point to memory errors, misidentified locations, dreams, and the way expectation can alter perception. Those explanations may fit many stories, yet the most compelling reports include details the witness only later connects with the past. That gives the experience its strange pull. A person does not travel in a grand adventure. They simply step into a few minutes that should not be available anymore. Some people believe these are glimpses of stored history. Others imagine thin places where time overlaps. The mystery is powerful because it makes the past feel less gone than we assume. Some witnesses claim familiar streets suddenly changed into older versions. The most unsettling time slip reports happen in ordinary places. A person turns a corner in a city they know and finds the scene subtly altered. Shop signs look old-fashioned. The road surface seems different. Vehicles are missing, or the clothing of passers-by belongs to another period. The witness may feel disoriented but not immediately afraid, because the change can seem completely real while it lasts. Then, a sound, a doorway, or another turn restores the present. Skeptics suggest fatigue, stress, poor lighting, or confusion between similar streets. Urban spaces also preserve old features, which can create a strong impression of the past. Still, some accounts contain details that witnesses later research and find oddly accurate. That is what keeps the subject alive. The city becomes a layered place, with different times stacked close together. A normal street may briefly behave like a page turning backward. The Versailles time slip became one of history's strangest travel tales. In the early 20th century, 2 English women visited the grounds near the Palace of Versailles and later claimed they had encountered a scene from the past. Their account included unusual figures, old-fashioned clothing, and a feeling that the landscape had changed around them. They eventually connected parts of the experience with the era of Marie Antoinette. The story became famous because the witnesses were educated, detailed, and not presenting themselves as entertainers. Skeptics have suggested confusion, imagination, local pageantry, or later interpretation shaped by research. Yet the case still fascinates because it feels like a historical haunting without a ghost in the usual sense. The past does not appear as a single figure. It appears as a whole environment. Whether mistaken or mysterious, the account asks a thrilling question. Could a place associated with intense history briefly open into the emotional atmosphere of another century? Premonitions before the Aberfan disaster still trouble researchers and families. Before the terrible collapse in Wales in the 1960s, reports later emerged of dreams, drawings, and uneasy warnings that seemed to anticipate the disaster. The subject must be handled with care because it involves real grief and real families. Yet it remains one of the most discussed collections of premonition accounts because some claims appeared unusually specific. Skeptics warn that after a tragedy, people naturally search memory for signs that danger was somehow sensed beforehand. That process can make ordinary fears seem prophetic. Still, the Aberfan material has troubled many people because of the number and emotional intensity of the reports. Some believe a collective shadow of the event reached sensitive minds before it happened. Others see the mind creating patterns after unbearable shock. The mystery is not sensational. It is quietly disturbing. It asks whether human awareness can sometimes tremble before a future sorrow reaches the world. The Titanic inspired dreams and warnings before its final voyage. Long before the ship became a symbol of disaster, stories circulated about uneasy feelings, troubling dreams, and warnings connected to its journey. Some people reportedly avoided sailing because of dread. Others later described dreams of ice, water, or a great ship in danger. The most famous related tales include earlier fictional works that seem to echo the tragedy in uncanny ways. Skeptics rightly note that ships, storms, and ocean danger were common themes before the event. Once a disaster becomes legendary, coincidences gather around it. Yet the Titanic remains a powerful case because the story already feels larger than life. It was advertised as a triumph of modern confidence, then became a lesson in human limits. Premonition claims add another layer. They suggest that before history changed course, some minds may have felt a disturbance ahead. Whether coincidence or foresight, the warnings make the voyage feel haunted before it even began. Disaster premonition bureaus collected warnings that arrived before tragic events. The idea behind these bureaus was both practical and strange. If people sometimes receive warnings before disasters, perhaps those warnings could be recorded in advance and checked later. This would solve one of the biggest problems in premonition research, which is that many claims only appear after the event. A bureau could create a time-stamped record before anything happened. People sent in dreams, impressions, and uneasy predictions. Most did not match future events in any useful way. A few seemed close enough to keep interest alive. Skeptics saw the problem of broad language, huge numbers of predictions, and the human tendency to notice hits while ignoring misses. Supporters believed the method was at least a serious attempt to catch future knowledge before memory could reshape it. The mystery is compelling because it asks whether prophecy could ever become organized. Could warnings be gathered like weather reports from the edge of tomorrow? Some gamblers believe lucky hunches are brief flashes of future knowledge. Casinos are built on chance, but gamblers often speak as though chance has moods, signals, and hidden rhythms. A player may feel pulled toward a certain machine, card, number, or table. Sometimes that hunch is wrong. Sometimes it lands so perfectly that it becomes a personal legend. Skeptics point out that gambling creates powerful memory bias. People remember the impossible win and forget the many empty feelings that led nowhere. That is true, and it matters. Yet intuition under uncertainty remains fascinating because the body often seems to decide before reason can explain itself. Some people believe a lucky hunch may be a tiny precognitive signal. Others think it is subconscious pattern reading, built from experience too fast for language. The mystery becomes sharper in a casino because the outcome is immediate. Either the feeling meant something or it did not. For one dazzling second, fate seems to answer back. Casino studies occasionally tested whether intuition could beat pure chance. Researchers have sometimes looked at gambling-like tasks to ask whether people can sense outcomes before they happen. The setup might involve guessing cards, predicting machine results, or choosing between hidden possibilities with real reward attached. The appeal is obvious. Gambling strips the question down to risk, decision, and outcome. Did the person know something, or were they only lucky? Results of being inconsistent, which is exactly what makes the topic frustrating and interesting. Skeptics argue that chance will always produce impressive streaks somewhere. They also warn that gamblers are especially vulnerable to believing in patterns that do not exist. Supporters wonder whether emotional stakes sharpen hidden perception. Perhaps desire, tension, and reward make the mind listen more closely to the next moment. The casino becomes more than a place of games. It becomes a noisy laboratory for one old question. Can instinct ever reach beyond probability? Dowsers have located water where geology offered no obvious clues. Dowsing is often pictured as a person walking slowly with a forked stick or rods held in both hands. The tool dips, crosses, or pulls at a certain spot, and the dowser says water is below. Many successes can be explained by knowledge of land, vegetation, drainage, and local geology. Experienced dowsers may read the environment without realizing how much they know. Skeptics also point to the ideomotor effect, where tiny unconscious movements guide the rods. Yet stories persist in which water was found in places where ordinary clues seemed weak. That is why dowsing has survived for centuries. It feels practical, not merely mystical. A person searches, the rod reacts, and a well may be dug. Some believe the dowser senses subtle earth energies. Others think intuition gathers clues too quietly for conscious thought. The mystery remains grounded because it ends in a simple question. Is there water under the ground or not? Map dowsing suggests some people search places without visiting them. This version of dowsing removes the dowser from the landscape entirely. Instead of walking across a field, the person holds a pendulum or rod over a map and asks where water, objects, or missing items may be found. The claim is startling because normal environmental clues disappear. There is no soil to read, no slope underfoot, no plant growth nearby. Skeptics see this as a clear example of unconscious movement, suggestion, and expectation. A pendulum can respond to tiny motions in the hand, even when the person feels completely still. Yet supporters argue that map dowsing sometimes produces results that seem too accurate for guesswork. They imagine a kind of non-local sensing, where the map acts as a link rather than a substitute for the place. Whether true or not, the practice is fascinating because it turns a flat piece of paper into a possible doorway between intention and distant ground. Pendulum divination may reveal hidden ideomotor signals or stranger guidance. A pendulum can seem alive in the hand. It begins still, then swings in a direction that appears to answer a question. Many psychologists explain this through the ideomotor effect. The hand makes tiny, unconscious movements, and the pendulum magnifies them. That explanation is powerful because it shows how the body can express knowledge or expectation before the conscious mind notices. Yet the mystery does not end there for everyone. Some people believe the pendulum can access intuition, spiritual guidance, or information outside normal awareness. The most interesting possibility may sit between those views. Perhaps the movement comes from the person, but from a layer of the person that is usually hidden. This makes the pendulum less like a magical object and more like an amplifier. It takes microscopic intention and makes it visible. The question is whether that intention contains only personal expectation or something larger moving through it. Automatic writing has produced messages that writers claimed were not theirs. In automatic writing, a person allows words to flow onto paper with little conscious control. Sometimes the writing appears as fragments. Other times it forms full messages, names, stories, or statements in a voice that feels separate from the writer's ordinary mind. The phenomenon has been interpreted in many ways. Spiritualists saw communication from the dead. Psychologists saw hidden layers of the self speaking through the hand. Some occult traditions treated it as contact with guides or intelligences beyond ordinary perception. Skeptics argue that the mind is capable of producing surprising material without deliberate planning. Dreams prove that much. Yet automatic writing remains fascinating because the writer often feels like a witness to their own hand. The words arrive before explanation. A sentence forms that the person did not expect. Whether the source is spirit, subconscious, or something stranger, the page becomes evidence that the self may not be as single as it seems. The cross correspondences involved separate mediums producing connected message fragments. This case became famous because the alleged communication did not appear through one simple message. Different mediums in different places produced fragments that seemed incomplete on their own. When brought together, some people believed the pieces formed a larger pattern, with references and themes connecting across the separate writings. Supporters saw this as clever evidence for survival after death. The idea was that no single medium held the full message, which made fraud or simple guessing harder to explain. Skeptics argued that the material was obscure, interpretive, and dependent on people finding connections afterward. That criticism is serious because humans are excellent pattern makers. Still, the structure of the case remains fascinating. If genuine, it would suggest an intelligence arranging clues across minds like a puzzle. If not, it reveals how deeply people can search for meaning in fragments. Either way, it is one of mediumship's most intricate mysteries. Some mediumship readings include obscure details later confirmed by families. The most interesting readings are often not dramatic at first. A medium may mention a small object, an unusual phrase, a forgotten location, or a family habit that means nothing in the moment. Later, someone checks with relatives and discovers the detail mattered. This delayed confirmation makes the case feel different from ordinary guessing because the sitter did not reward the statement immediately. Skeptics still have explanations. The detail may be broad enough to fit something eventually. The family may reshape memory to make it work. Information may also have been available in ways no one noticed. Yet some stories remain compelling because the detail is specific and not emotionally obvious. It is one thing to say a departed person sends love. It is another to mention a misplaced watch or a private nickname no one expected. These accounts keep mediumship controversial because they raise the possibility that information can arrive before anyone present knows why it matters. Trance mediums often speak with voices unlike their ordinary selves. In trance mediumship, the medium may appear to enter an altered state and speak as though another personality is using the voice. The change can involve accent, rhythm, vocabulary, posture, or manner. To witnesses, this can feel startling, especially when the medium later claims little memory of what was said. Skeptics point to performance, dissociation, suggestion, and the human ability to adopt roles with surprising depth. Those explanations are often reasonable. Yet some cases draw attention because the personality seems stable across many sessions and provides information that sittars find meaningful. The experience raises a difficult question about identity. Is the medium contacting another consciousness or revealing a hidden chamber of the self? Both possibilities are intriguing. The voice may not prove a spirit is present, but it does show how fluid the human mind can become. In these moments, personality feels less like a fixed object and more like a doorway. Physical mediumship reports include raps, lights, breezes, and moving furniture. This branch of mediumship is especially controversial because it claims that unseen forces can affect the room itself. Instead of receiving only messages, witnesses report sounds, touches, small lights, sudden air movements, or objects shifting during a sitting. The atmosphere of these accounts is often intense because the evidence seems immediate. A knock is heard by everyone. A table moves under hands. A cool breeze passes through a closed space. Skeptics warn that darkness, expectation, and group emotion are perfect conditions for trickery, or misinterpretation. Many historical cases were exposed, and that history cannot be ignored. Yet the reports that continue to fascinate are those where witnesses believed controls were strong and the phenomena still occurred. The mystery is bold because it asks whether mind or spirit can cross into matter. If even one event is genuine, then the unseen is not only communicative, it is physical. The Fox sisters launched modern spiritualism with mysterious knocking sounds. In the 19th century, strange knocks in a New York household helped ignite a movement that spread across America and beyond. The Fox sisters became famous because the sounds seemed to answer questions, creating the impression of communication with an unseen intelligence. Their story is complicated and controversial, especially because later admissions and contradictions damaged trust in the case. Even so, the cultural impact was enormous. Spiritualism gave people a new way to imagine contact with the dead during an era of loss, religious change, and public curiosity. Parlors became places where grief met performance and belief met investigation. Skeptics saw deception from the start. Believers saw the beginning of a new revelation. What makes the story fascinating is how small the original phenomenon was. A few knocks in a house became a worldwide argument about survival after death. The sound itself was simple. The question it opened was immense. Spirit photography fooled many people but left a few lingering puzzles. When photography was new, many people saw it as a technology that captured truth. That made spirit photographs especially powerful. A grieving person could sit for a portrait and later see a faint figure behind them, often interpreted as a departed loved one. Many examples were produced through double exposure, manipulation, or deliberate fraud. Skeptics exposed famous photographers and showed how easily the effect could be made. Yet the emotional force of these images was enormous because the camera seemed impartial. It was not a medium speaking in a dark room. It was a machine presenting evidence. A few photographs still attract debate because their exact methods remain uncertain, or because witnesses insisted the conditions were controlled. The lingering mystery is partly technical and partly human. Why are people so moved by a pale shape on glass or paper? Perhaps the image proves nothing, yet it reveals how deeply people long for one more appearance. Thoughtography claimed the mind could imprint images onto photographic film. This claim suggests that a person might project mental images directly onto film or photographic material without using a camera in the ordinary way. The idea is extraordinary because it turns thought into something that can leave a physical mark. Reports of thoughtography became especially fascinating in the age of photography because film already seemed almost magical to earlier generations. A hidden picture could emerge from blankness through chemical development. Paranormal claims pushed that wonder further. Skeptics argue that fraud, accidental exposure, and handling tricks can explain the most dramatic examples. They may be right in many cases. Yet the concept remains captivating because it asks whether imagination has a physical shadow. If a mental image can touch film, then thoughts are not only private experiences. They may be active forces. The blank surface becomes a test of consciousness itself. Is the mind merely seeing images, or can it somehow make images appear? Ted Serios became famous for alleged pictures formed by thought. Ted Serios drew attention because he claimed to produce images on instant film through mental effort. The results were often strange, blurred, and difficult to interpret, but some observers believed they showed buildings, faces, or scenes that should not have been there. His method often involved intense concentration and a small tube-like device, which immediately raised suspicion among skeptics. Critics argued that hidden images, manipulation, or simple trickery could explain the results. Supporters replied that some demonstrations were watched closely and still seemed puzzling. What makes serios interesting is the uneasy mixture of spectacle and mystery. The images were not clean proof. They were messy, ambiguous, and often dreamlike in their lack of clarity. Yet that ambiguity is part of their pull. If they were fake, they were clever theatre. If they were real, they suggested that the mind could press fragments of inner vision onto a machine built to record the outer world. Kirlian photography inspired claims about energy fields around living things. This technique creates glowing images around objects placed in a high-voltage photographic setup. Leaves, fingertips, and other materials can appear surrounded by bright fringes that look like an aura. Scientific explanations involve moisture, pressure, electrical discharge, and physical conditions around the object. That accounts for much of what is seen. Yet the images captured public imagination because they seemed to reveal a hidden vitality. A leaf did not look merely like a leaf. It appeared surrounded by a luminous edge, as though life itself had become visible. Some people connected the effect with healing energy, emotional states, or the ancient idea of subtle bodies. Skeptics argue that the photographs show electricity, not spirit. Still, the fascination remains understandable. The pictures gave people something they could point to. They transformed an invisible belief into a visible pattern. Whether misunderstood or meaningful, Kirlian photography made the unseen body feel almost photographable. Aura reading mixes ancient belief with modern stories of perception. Across many traditions, people have claimed that living beings carry a subtle field or colored presence around the body. Modern aura readers often say they perceive colors linked with emotion, health, personality, or spiritual condition. Skeptics explain such readings through intuition, body language, expectation, or visual effects around the edge of the person being observed. Some people may also experience color associations naturally through the brain's own cross-wiring. Yet aura reading persists because it gives a simple shape to something many people already feel. A room can change when someone enters. A person can seem heavy, worn, guarded, or bright, without saying much at all. The aura idea turns that impression into a visible language. The mystery is whether readers are seeing an actual field or translating subtle human signals into color. Either way, the practice points toward a deeper truth. We may read one another more constantly than we admit. Some healers claim warmth in their hands before measurable changes occur. Energy healing reports often begin with a simple bodily sensation. A practitioner places their hands near someone or lightly on them and feels heat, tingling, pressure, or pulsing. The recipient may feel relaxation, relief, or emotional release. Skeptics point to touch, expectation, attention, and the body's natural ability to shift into calm when someone is cared for. Those factors are real and powerful. Yet some healers believe the warmth signals an energy exchange that moves through the hands. A few studies have tried to measure changes around healing sessions, though results remain debated. The mystery is compelling because the experience feels immediate to the people involved. Something seems to happen before anyone explains it. The hands become a point of contact between intention and the body. Whether the effect is subtle physiology, placebo, or a real unseen field, the claim suggests that care itself may have a physical presence. Reiki and energy healing remain debated, but widely experienced as meaningful. Reiki is often practiced through light touch or hands held near the body, with the intention of supporting balance and well-being. Many people describe deep relaxation, emotional release, warmth, or a sense of being gently reset. Mainstream medicine remains cautious because the proposed energy has not been clearly established in the way ordinary physical forces are measured. Skeptics see the benefits as expectation, rest, focused attention, and the calming effect of a caring setting. those explanations can still be valuable. Yet practitioners and recipients often feel that something more specific is happening. They describe sessions that seem to affect mood, pain, sleep, or inner steadiness in ways that surprise them. The fascination lies in the gap between measurable proof and lived experience. If a practice helps people feel changed, what exactly is doing the work? Reiki keeps that question open, sitting between healing ritual, human connection, and the possibility of subtle energy. Distant healing studies asked whether care could cross space unseen. The bold claim behind distant healing is that one person's focused intention might affect another person far away. The recipient may not know when the session is happening, which makes the idea testable in an unusual way. Researchers have explored whether prayer, meditation, or healing intention can correspond with changes in well-being, recovery, or measurable body responses. Results have been mixed and strongly debated. Skeptics argue that studies in this area are difficult to design, and positive findings may come from chance, bias, or weak methods. Supporters believe distance may not block consciousness in the way it blocks physical touch. The idea is fascinating because it turns care into a possible non-local force. A person sits in one room and silently focuses on someone else. Nothing visible travels between them. Yet the possibility remains that intention itself might have reach. If true, compassion would not be limited by walls, miles, or ordinary contact. Prayer experiments raised questions about intention, hope, and hidden connection. Some studies have tried to examine whether prayer for unknown recipients can produce measurable effects. The subject is delicate because prayer is not only a technique. It is also faith, meaning, comfort, and relationship with the sacred. Turning it into an experiment can feel too small for what people believe it to be. Still, researchers have asked whether focused prayer might influence recovery or well-being when the recipient does not know they are being prayed for. Results have been inconsistent, and interpretations vary widely. Skeptics argue that complex medical outcomes cannot be easily linked to distant intention. Believers may say prayer is not a machine that performs on command. The mystery remains compelling because almost every culture has some version of reaching beyond oneself through hope. Whether prayer changes events, changes the person who prays, or opens a connection we do not understand, it raises questions that numbers alone cannot settle. Some placebo effects seem almost too powerful for expectation alone. The placebo effect is often described as belief influencing the body, but that simple phrase hides something remarkable. A person takes a treatment with no active ingredient, yet the body may respond with real changes in pain, symptoms, or function. The effect does not mean the condition was imaginary. It means expectation, meaning, and context can alter bodily experience. For parapsychology, placebo is intriguing because it shows that mind and body are far less separate than everyday thinking suggests. Skeptics would say there is no need to invoke anything paranormal. Psychology and physiology already explain a great deal. Yet the power of response can still feel almost uncanny. A ritual, a trusted voice, or the belief that help has arrived may shift the body's internal chemistry. Some people wonder whether this is the visible edge of a much larger mind-body ability. Placebo may not prove psychic power, but it proves belief is not weak. Biofield research explores whether bodies exchange subtle information beyond touch. The term biofield refers to the possibility that living bodies may produce or interact through subtle fields not fully understood. Some healing traditions have spoken in similar ways for centuries, though with different language. Modern researchers who explore this area look for patterns involving physiology, intention, and the space around the body. The subject is controversial because Known fields from the body are usually weak, and claims can outrun evidence. Skeptics argue that biofield language often gives a scientific sound to ideas that remain unproven. Supporters think it offers a framework for experiences reported in healing, meditation, and close human contact. The fascinating part is that bodies clearly communicate constantly through heat, scent, sound, posture, and tiny signals. The question is whether anything more subtle is also being exchanged. If bodies do share information beyond ordinary touch, then personal space may not be empty. It may be an active border where life quietly meets life. Psychic surgery created dramatic claims that divided investigators and audiences. Psychic surgery became famous through demonstrations where healers appeared to remove harmful material from a person's body using bare hands and no conventional operation. The scenes were often startling and theatrical. Supporters claimed the healers worked through spiritual power, entering the body without ordinary cutting and leaving no lasting wound. Skeptics and magicians showed how sleight of hand, animal tissue, and stage methods could create convincing illusions. Many cases were exposed or strongly challenged. Yet the phenomenon attracted huge attention because people seeking healing sometimes reported relief, hope, or emotional transformation after sessions. That does not prove the method worked as claimed, but it explains why the practice held power over audiences. The mystery here is partly paranormal and partly human. How much can belief, ritual, and trust affect suffering? And why do some people feel changed after an event that outsiders see as deception? Psychic surgery sits at the uneasy edge between healing, theatre, and faith. The Skoll experiment reported lights and messages under controlled conditions. In the 1990s, a group in England became known for seances that reportedly produced unusual lights, images, voices, and messages. The sessions attracted investigators because the group claimed the phenomena occurred under conditions designed to reduce ordinary trickery. Small lights were said to move through the room. Images appeared on sealed photographic film. Communications seemed to arrive through different methods rather than through one simple channel. Skeptics argued that darkness, group expectation, and limited visibility made the claims difficult to accept. Supporters believed the variety of effects made the case harder to dismiss. What makes the story fascinating is its modern setting. This was not a distant Victorian legend with half-lost records. It happened recently enough to feel close, yet strangely outside everyday reality. The case asks whether careful observers can still be fooled, or whether unusual intelligence might sometimes work through whatever tools a group provides. Some table-tipping sessions produced movements no participant admitted causing. This practice became popular because it felt simple, social, and strangely convincing to the people involved. A group placed their hands lightly on a table and waited. After a while, the table might rock, tilt, or move across the floor. Sometimes it appeared to answer questions through knocks or directional movement. Skeptics explain much of this through unconscious muscular action. When several people expect motion, tiny movements can combine into something that feels external. That explanation is strong because no one needs to lie for the effect to happen. Yet many participants insist the force felt stronger than anything they produced. The table seemed to wake up beneath their fingers. That is the fascinating part. The mystery may not require a spirit to be interesting. It may show how group belief, suggestion, and hidden movement can create an experience that feels like another presence has joined the room. Ouija boards reveal how belief can feel like another intelligence. The board itself is simple. Letters, numbers, and a moving pointer create a system for spelling messages. Yet the experience can feel shockingly alive when the pointer starts to move. Participants often say they are not pushing it, and each person may feel the movement coming from someone else. The common explanation is unconscious motion. The hand makes small movements guided by expectation, memory, or suggestion, while the conscious mind experiences the result as outside control. That explanation is fascinating rather than disappointing. It means the mind can create a conversation and then hide its own role in producing it. Some people still believe boards open contact with spirits or other intelligences. Others think they reveal hidden layers of the participants themselves. Either way, the board becomes a mirror with letters. It shows how easily the boundary between imagination and communication can begin to blur. Planchette movements sometimes spell information nobody expects to receive. The most memorable board sessions often turn on one unsettling moment. The pointer spells a word, name, or phrase that surprises everyone present. It may refer to a forgotten relative, an old location, or a detail the group does not immediately recognize. Later, someone checks and finds a connection. Skeptics warn that memory and interpretation can stretch a message after the fact. They also point out that fragments of knowledge may exist in the room without anyone consciously recalling them. A person may have heard a name years earlier and forgotten it, while the hand still moves toward the letters. Yet the experience remains gripping because the message appears to come from outside the group's intention. The pointer glides, the letters gather, and the room changes. Whether the source is spirit, hidden memory, or shared expectation, the moment feels like a secret being spelled slowly through ordinary hands. Psychometry suggests objects may carry impressions from their owners. This claim begins with the idea that an object can hold more than physical wear. A watch, letter, tea, or piece of clothing might carry traces of the person who used it. A reader holds the item and describes impressions, emotions, scenes, or personal details. Skeptics point to guesswork, subtle clues, and the way old objects often reveal hints through style, condition, smell, and context. A skilled observer can learn more than they realize. Still, psychometry remains compelling because people often feel that personal belongings absorb something of a life. A ring worn for decades does not seem emotionally identical to one newly made. Some people believe repeated contact leaves a subtle imprint that sensitive minds can read. Others see it as intuition, sharpened by touch. The mystery is intimate because the object is ordinary. It sits in the hand, silent, yet perhaps not entirely empty. Some readers claim old jewelry reveals emotions from past lives. Jewelry is especially powerful in paranormal stories because it touches the body for years and often passes through families. A ring may be worn during marriage, loss, travel, illness, and private decisions. A pendant may rest near the heart through moments no one else sees. Readers who work with such objects sometimes claim they sense not only the recent owner, but emotions reaching further back. Some even connect jewelry with previous lives, as though attachment can follow the soul and gather around familiar forms. Skeptics see suggestion, symbolism, and the emotional charge people already give heirlooms. That explanation matters because jewelry invites interpretation. Yet the idea remains fascinating. A small object can outlive the hand that held it. It can move from one life to another, carrying stories no document records. Whether those impressions are psychic or psychological, old jewelry makes memory feel almost touchable. Haunted objects often gain reputations through repeated strange coincidences. An object usually becomes haunted slowly. Someone buys a doll, painting, mirror, or old piece of furniture, and odd events begin to gather around it. A light fails. A sound repeats. A person feels uneasy nearby. One event may be dismissed, but several can create a reputation. After that, expectation becomes part of the story. People watch the object more closely, and every unusual detail feels connected. Skeptics argue that this is how legends grow from coincidence. Believers think repeated events may reveal an attachment, curse, or lingering presence tied to the item. The fascinating part is how quickly meaning can collect around matter. An ordinary object becomes a suspect. People change how they handle it, where they place it, and whether they dare keep it at all. The mystery asks whether the object is causing the events, or whether human attention is slowly making the object powerful. The Dybbuk box became a modern legend of cursed possession. The story of this wine cabinet spread online and became one of the best-known haunted object tales of recent times. It was said to carry a harmful presence connected with Jewish folklore, and owners described misfortune, nightmares, illness, and strange events after acquiring it. Skeptics argue that the legend grew through storytelling, media attention, and the powerful effect of expectation. Once an object is presented as cursed, every unlucky event nearby begins to look meaningful. Yet that does not erase the pull of the story. The box became famous because it felt ancient and modern at once. It combined old ideas about restless spirits with internet-era fascination and collector culture. People debated whether the danger was real, exaggerated, or created by belief itself. The most interesting possibility may be psychological and paranormal together. A cursed object can haunt a room, but it can also haunt the imagination. Some museums keep cursed artifacts away from ordinary public handling. Across paranormal culture, certain artifacts are treated with unusual caution. They may be kept behind glass, stored in restricted rooms, or handled only by specific people. The reasons vary. Some objects are said to bring bad luck. Others are linked to hauntings, ritual histories, or repeated misfortune among owners. Museums and private collections do not always present these claims as fact, but they often understand the power of reputation. An object with a dark story can affect visitors before anything happens. Skeptics see preservation, theatre, and public fascination with taboo. Believers think separation is wise because some objects may carry attachments or energetic residue. The idea is compelling because it makes the museum feel less like a place of dead things and more like a house of sleeping forces. A locked case may protect the artifact from us, or, in the more disturbing version, it may protect us from the artifact. Mirror scrying has been used for visions across many cultures. The practice usually involves gazing into a reflective surface until ordinary perception begins to soften. A mirror, dark bowl of water, or polished surface becomes the focus. After enough stillness, images may appear in the mind or seem to form within the reflection. Some people treat these images as messages from the subconscious. Others believe they are glimpses of spirits, distant events, or future possibilities. Skeptics explain the experience through low light, eye fatigue, expectation, and the brain's ability to generate faces and scenes from ambiguous input. That explanation can be true while still leaving the practice fascinating. The mirror gives the mind very little to work with, and the mind begins to fill the space. What appears may reveal fear, memory, intuition, or something harder to name. The mystery is that a simple reflection can become a screen for inner vision, and perhaps more. Crystal gazing became a serious curiosity for early psychical researchers. A crystal ball may seem like a stage prop today, but it was once examined with surprising seriousness. Early investigators collected reports from people who gazed into crystal and described scenes, people, or events that appeared before them. The visions were not always mystical in tone. Sometimes they seemed like memory fragments. Sometimes they looked like distant happenings or symbolic warnings. Skeptics saw imagination, suggestion, and the natural tendency to find pictures in shifting light. Yet researchers were interested because the experience could be repeated under calmer conditions than many science claims. The crystal served as a focus, quieting ordinary thought and giving the mind a blank field. What emerged might have been fantasy. It might have been subconscious knowledge, or it might have been a weak form of clairvoyance. The fascination lies in the method. A clear object on a table became a tool for testing how far perception might reach. Some sensory deprivation experiments make inner images feel strangely external. When the brain receives less ordinary input, it often begins to generate its own. In sensory deprivation settings, a person may float in darkness, hear little sound, and feel reduced contact with the body. After a while, images, voices, patterns, or strong impressions may arise. Skeptics see this as a normal brain response to missing stimulation. The mind tries to fill the blank. Yet parapsychology finds the state interesting because reducing external noise may also make subtle impressions easier to notice. A person can no longer blame every thought on the busy world around them. Some experiences feel personal and dreamlike. Others seem to arrive with surprising clarity, almost as though they are perceived rather than invented. The question is not only whether strange images appear. They clearly can. The deeper question is whether any of them carry information from beyond the isolated mind, or only from hidden parts within it. The Philip group showed how imagination might create shared phenomena. The most important lesson from this case may be the role of group focus. When people gather around a shared imagined figure, the atmosphere can change in ways that feel surprisingly concrete. Expectations align. Jokes become rituals. A fictional personality begins to feel familiar. Then small events such as knocks or movements may be interpreted as responses. Skeptics see social psychology at work, with unconscious motion and collective suggestion creating the effect. Yet the story remains fascinating because the experience can still feel independent to the people present. The group may know the figure began as fiction, but the room behaves as though the fiction has gained weight. This points toward a stranger possibility about belief. Perhaps people do not merely imagine together. Perhaps shared imagination can organize perception, movement, and meaning until it behaves like a presence. The mystery is whether that presence is only psychological or something thought has partly formed. Tulpa legends suggest focused belief could shape an independent presence. The Tulpa idea is often described as a being or presence created through sustained mental focus. In modern paranormal culture, the concept has taken on a life of its own. A person imagines a companion, gives it a personality, returns to it repeatedly, and eventually feels that it acts with its own will. Skeptics explain this through imagination, dissociation, and the mind's ability to model other minds with great depth. After all, writers often say characters surprise them. Yet Tulpa stories go further because the created presence may seem separate, responsive, and persistent. Some people believe this suggests thought can become semi-independent if enough attention feeds it. Others see it as proof that identity inside the mind is more flexible than we admit. The concept is fascinating because it reverses the usual paranormal question. Instead of asking whether a spirit entered the mind, it asks whether the mind can build something spirit-like. Egregore ideas describe collective thought forms fed by human attention. An egregore is often understood as a presence or force created by the shared focus of a group. It may form around a belief system, organization, legend, symbol, or repeated ritual. The idea is popular in occult and paranormal circles because it explains why groups can feel larger than the people inside them. A club, movement, or tradition can develop a mood that seems to guide members, resist change, and outlast individuals. Skeptics might call this culture, group psychology, or social momentum. Those explanations are strong. Yet the egregore concept gives that process a stranger edge. It suggests collective attention may gather into something almost independent. The group creates it, then begins to be influenced by what it created. This makes certain legends feel more active than ordinary stories. The more people fear, love, or repeat them, the more presence they seem to gain. Thought form stories ask whether belief can become strangely active. A thought form is the idea that repeated mental energy might gather into a recognizable pattern, image, or presence. Unlike a passing fantasy, it is imagined as something reinforced by attention. People return to it, speak about it, fear it, and feed it with expectation. Over time, the thought form may seem to produce effects beyond ordinary imagination. A room feels charged. A figure appears in dreams. Coincidences begin to cluster around the idea. Skeptics see a feedback loop of belief and perception. Once people expect a presence, they notice anything that confirms it. Yet the concept remains powerful because human belief clearly changes behavior, memory, and atmosphere. The question is whether it can do more. Can a story become so concentrated that it begins to behave like an actor in the world? Thought form lore turns imagination from a private activity into a possible force with consequences. Some haunted locations grow stronger after visitors expect activity there. Certain places become famous for strange events, and after that, the reports often multiply. A house, hotel, road, or ruin gains a reputation. Visitors arrive ready for something unusual. They listen harder, watch shadows longer, and interpret every small sound through the legend. Skeptics see expectation shaping experience. That is almost certainly part of the process. Yet the pattern raises a more unusual question. What if attention does not merely distort perception? What if it somehow amplifies the activity? Some people believe repeated fear and fascination can feed a location, making the atmosphere heavier over time. Others think stories teach people how to notice what was already there. The mystery is fascinating because the haunting becomes interactive. The place affects the visitors, and the visitors affect the place. A legend may start as a report, but after enough attention, it can become part of the environment itself. Skeptics argue many psychic hits come from chance and suggestion. This argument matters because psychic claims often rely on moments that feel personally astonishing. A prediction matches an event. A medium says something meaningful. A dream appears to connect with tomorrow. Skeptics remind us that coincidences are unavoidable in a world full of thoughts, conversations, and random events. They also point to suggestion, selective memory, and vague wording that can fit many outcomes. This does not make the subject dull. It makes it sharper. If we want to know whether something truly strange happened, we have to ask how often ordinary chance can create the same feeling. That challenge is useful because the paranormal is most interesting when it survives serious pressure. A mystery that depends on ignoring normal explanations is weak. A mystery that remains after those explanations have been considered is far more compelling. Skepticism, at its best, is not the enemy of wonder. It is the filter that makes wonder harder to fake. Believers argue controlled failures do not erase powerful personal experiences. Laboratory tests often produce mixed or disappointing results, and skeptics see that as a major problem for parapsychology. Believers reply that the most important experiences rarely happen on command. A warning dream, a crisis vision, or a sudden knowing may arrive during emotional intensity, not under fluorescent lights with a clipboard nearby. This argument is difficult because it can sound like an excuse, But it also reflects how many human experiences work. Love, grief, inspiration, and fear do not always perform neatly when measured. Personal accounts carry a force that statistics may miss, especially when the witness is sincere and the timing is strange. The challenge is deciding how much weight to give testimony. Too much, and people believe anything. Too little, and unusual events vanish before they can be understood. The tension itself is fascinating. It asks whether reality only counts when it can be repeated, or whether rare moments can still reveal something true. Fraud exposed in famous cases made genuine claims harder to trust. Parapsychology has always carried a burden created by deception. Famous mediums were caught using tricks. Photographs were manipulated. Seance effects were staged with hidden tools. Each exposure damaged more than one case. It made the entire field harder to believe. Skeptics often argue that where fraud appears often, trust should shrink everywhere. That caution is understandable. Yet supporters point out that fraud in a field does not automatically prove every claim is false. Fake money exists because real money has value. The problem is that paranormal evidence often depends on trust, witness memory, and unusual conditions. Once trust breaks, even interesting cases become clouded. This is one of the field's deepest difficulties. The search for genuine anomalies has to pass through a history full of showmanship and wishful thinking. The mystery is not only whether strange abilities exist, it is whether we can ever separate them cleanly from human performance. Some researchers think side effects disappear when watched too harshly. One of the strangest ideas in parapsychology is that psychic effects may be fragile. They may appear in relaxed, playful, or emotionally open settings, then fade under pressure. Some researchers have suggested that harsh skepticism, anxiety, or excessive control can reduce the effect being tested. Skeptics dislike this idea because it can protect weak claims from failure. If the phenomenon disappears whenever conditions become strict, it becomes almost impossible to prove. Yet the idea remains intriguing because many subtle human abilities are affected by mood. A person may perform better when trusted and worse when scrutinized. Creativity, memory, and intuition can all collapse under tension. The deeper question is whether psi, if real, behaves less like a machine and more like a delicate mental state. That would make it difficult to study, but not meaningless. It would also explain why the paranormal seems to appear most often when no one is ready for it. The sheep-goat effect links belief to psychic test results. In parapsychology, believers have sometimes been called sheep, while disbelievers have been called goats. The idea is that people who accept the possibility of psi may score differently from those who reject it. Some studies have suggested that belief, openness, or expectation can influence results. This is fascinating because it makes the participants' worldview part of the experiment. If someone believes psychic perception is impossible, maybe they unconsciously block whatever faint signal might appear. Or perhaps believers simply feel more comfortable guessing and interpreting impressions. Skeptics argue that the effect may reflect motivation, reporting style, or statistical noise rather than psychic ability. Supporters see it as a clue that consciousness is participatory. The mind may not be a neutral instrument. It may shape the conditions under which unusual information arrives. The mystery asks whether belief merely changes performance, or whether it opens and closes doors in perception itself. Experimenter effects suggest researchers may influence outcomes without realizing it. Some parapsychology results appear to vary depending on who conducts the experiment. One researcher gets positive findings. Another uses similar methods and gets nothing. This has led to the idea that the expectations, personality, or attitude of the experimenter might influence the outcome. In ordinary science, experimenter effects are already known in subtle forms. Tone, instruction, body language, and analysis choices can shape results. Parapsychology adds a more radical possibility. Perhaps the researcher's own consciousness becomes part of the phenomenon being measured. Skeptics see this as another reason to be cautious, because it can blur the line between evidence and bias. Supporters find it intriguing because it suggests psi may not be isolated inside the subject. The whole experimental situation may matter. The room, the relationship, the mood, and the hidden expectations could all become ingredients. This makes the search for psychic effects less like testing a machine and more like studying a living conversation. Psi missing describes people scoring below chance in meaningful patterns. In some tests, participants do not score above chance. They score below it in a way that appears too consistent to be random. This is called psi missing, and it creates a strange problem. If someone repeatedly avoids the correct answer, are they failing, or are they showing a reversed kind of information? Skeptics may see statistical fluctuation, poor methods, or selective attention to unusual results. That caution is sensible. Yet the concept is fascinating because missing can still contain structure. Imagine a person who cannot name the hidden card, but somehow chooses everything except the right one. Some researchers have wondered whether fear, resistance, disbelief, or unconscious conflict could turn a psychic signal upside down. The idea sounds strange, but it fits the wider theme that psi may not behave like ordinary skill. It may be tangled with emotion and intention. Even failure, in this view, may not always be empty. Retrocausality studies ask whether future choices can affect past results. This idea challenges one of the deepest assumptions in daily life. We believe the past is fixed and the future is open. Retrocausality experiments ask whether that boundary might be less solid at very small scales of experience. Some studies have tested whether a decision made after an event can somehow influence earlier responses, choices, or random outcomes. The effect, if present, would not look like changing history in a dramatic way. It would appear as a tiny statistical lean in data. Skeptics argue that such results usually come from analysis problems, chance, or methods that do not hold up. Supporters see them as hints that consciousness may not move through time in the simple line we imagine. The fascination is enormous because the claim touches everything. If the future can reach backward even slightly, then time may be less like a road and more like a web of influence. Micro-psychokinesis tested whether thought could nudge machines slightly. This area of research asks whether intention can influence random mechanical or electronic systems by a tiny amount. Instead of bending metal or moving objects across a room, the participant simply tries to make a device produce more of one outcome than another. The effect, if it exists, is small and hidden in large sets of data. That makes it controversial because tiny effects are easy to confuse with chance, bias, or imperfect equipment. Yet the idea is thrilling because it brings mind over matter into a measurable form. A person sits quietly, focuses on an outcome, and a machine produces numbers. Nothing dramatic happens, but the results may drift slightly. Skeptics see statistical noise. Supporters see consciousness pressing gently against probability. The mystery is almost quiet enough to miss. If thought can influence matter at the smallest edge, then reality may be subtly responsive in ways ordinary life never reveals. Spoon bending became a public symbol of mind over matter. Few paranormal images are as instantly recognizable as a metal spoon bending in someone's hand. It is simple, visual, and easy to understand. Either the metal moved through trickery, pressure, or heat, or something unusual happened. Public demonstrations made the idea famous because they suggested psychic power could be seen at a kitchen table rather than hidden inside statistics. Magicians have shown many ways to create convincing bends through sleight of hand and preparation. That has made skeptics deeply cautious. Yet the symbol remains powerful because metal feels stubborn. It represents the hard physical world. When it appears to soften under attention, even for a moment, the imagination reacts. Some people see a stage illusion. Others see a glimpse of human ability not yet understood. The fascination is not only the spoon, it is the challenge it offers. Can mind ever act directly on matter, or only through muscle and method? Uri Geller's performances turned psychic powers into a global argument. In the 1970s, Uri Geller became famous for demonstrations that appeared to involve bent metal, stopped watches, and hidden drawings perceived without seeing them. Television made the controversy enormous. Viewers watched from home and wondered whether they were seeing genuine psychic ability or expert performance. Magicians argued that the effects could be produced through ordinary trickery. Supporters claimed that some demonstrations under observation still seemed difficult to explain. Geller's fame turned parapsychology into public theatre. The debate was no longer confined to laboratories or private circles. It entered living rooms, newspapers, and dinner table arguments across the world. What makes his case enduring is not a single demonstration. It is the cultural split he created. Some saw proof that the mind could affect matter. Others saw proof that people desperately want to believe. His performances became a mirror for the larger question. How do we tell wonder from illusion when both look amazing? Parapsychology survives because the best stories refuse to stay settled. This field has been challenged for more than a century, yet it never fully disappears. Part of the reason is that the strongest stories leave something unresolved. A child remembers details that seem too precise. A dying person reports something they should not have known. A dream appears to warn before an event. A machine shows a pattern at exactly the wrong time for coincidence to feel satisfying. Skeptics answer with chance, memory, bias, and fraud. Those explanations solve many cases. Yet they do not remove the human feeling that some experiences remain unfinished. Parapsychology lives in that unfinished space. It is not accepted in the same way as established sciences, but it keeps asking questions that people cannot stop caring about. What is consciousness? Can minds connect? Does awareness survive? Are we sealed inside the body? The field survives because the mystery is not only in the evidence, it is in us. The deepest mystery may be whether consciousness is larger than the brain. Every topic in parapsychology eventually returns to this question. Telepathy, near-death experience, reincarnation, psychokinesis, mediumship, and premonition all challenge the same basic assumption. Is consciousness produced entirely by the brain, or does the brain receive, shape, and filter something wider? Mainstream neuroscience explains much about memory, perception, emotion, and personality through brain activity. That evidence is powerful. Yet some people believe unusual cases suggest the brain may not be the whole story. They imagine consciousness as something fundamental, with the body acting more like an instrument than a generator. Skeptics see no need for that leap. Believers think ordinary science has mistaken the receiver for the source. The mystery matters because it changes what a human being is. If awareness is only brain activity, death closes the story. If awareness is larger, then life may be one chapter in a much stranger book. And so, we come to the edge of our journey through parapsychology. Tonight, we have moved through a world where the mind may not be quite as private as it seems. We have listened for signals between distant people. We have followed the strange paper trail of psychic spying. We have stepped into stories of warning dreams, haunted rooms, remembered lives, and voices that seem to arrive from nowhere. We have seen how a simple card, a falling die, a sealed target, or a quiet hospital room can become the center of a much larger question. Perhaps some of these mysteries are coincidence. Perhaps some are mistakes of memory, emotion, or expectation. And perhaps, hidden among them, there are moments when consciousness reaches beyond the borders we usually give it. That is the beauty of this subject. It does not close easily. It lingers. It asks us to imagine the mind as something wider, stranger, and more connected than everyday life allows. But for now, there is nothing more you need to solve. You can let the questions rest. Let the names, cases, experiments, and possibilities drift away like lights going out in distant windows. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the room around you become still. If you enjoyed this curious journey, you are always welcome to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps more sleepy souls find their way here. And if you're still awake, there should be another mystery waiting on the screen for you now. For the moment, allow your mind to loosen its hold on the unknown. Some answers can wait. Some doors can remain closed until another night. Sleep well, and good night.